It's been a while since we've done a 4th and 10, the segment where I talk about 4 college football stories in 10 minutes. But with the college football offseason approaching and a lot of news in store, I thought I'd bring this back. Today, it's going to technically be 2nd and 10, as we're going to be talking about Dabo Swinney and his clear hatred for Ohio State, and the Indiana Hoosiers getting absolutely screwed by the College Football Playoff Committee. All that today on 4th and 10. Now let's go for it. Over the last few weeks, Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney has been very vocal about his team and how they are deserving of making the playoff because of the amount of games they've played, essentially taking a major jab at Ohio State, who has only played half the amount of games. Well, Dabo can finally put his money where his mouth is, as his Clemson Tigers will get to face Ohio State in the playoff semifinal, a rematch of last year's playoff semifinal. Well, Swinney clearly doesn't think Ohio State is worthy of being a top 4 team, or a top 5 team, or a top 6 team, or even a top 10 team. The latest coaches poll came out, and Dabo had Ohio State ranked number 11 on his final ballot, lower than any of the 61 FBS head coaches who voted in the poll.
I think the games matter. I think, the mental and physical toll of a season, there's nobody out there that would say that, somebody who's played 11 games versus somebody who's played 6 better physically or something like that, because it's a long season. I mean, we're going on week 21, and these guys have had no break. I mean, it's been a grind, not just football wise, but the mental challenge and the personal sacrifice and commitment that everybody's had to make to be able to play and continue to play. It has been incredible, and our guys have been just so committed in that regard. Yeah, I mean, anytime you step in between the lines in the game of football, that's a lot of practices. That's a lot of physicality. So, I mean, I definitely think that it matters. But, at the end of the day, none of that matters in New Orleans. What matters is who plays the best in those 4 quarters.
Dabo was one of 8 coaches who left the Buckeyes out of the top 4. Kirby Smart had the Buckeyes ranked 6, while 6 others had them at 5, including Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher. Based on Dabo's recent comments, his main sticking point with the Buckeyes is the fact that they've played fewer games than any of the other top teams in the country. Swinney said earlier this month on the Rich Eisen show that the smaller number of games played should play a big factor in Ohio State's college football playoff push.
You got to have 120 hours to get a business degree, but yet, these people over here only need 60 hours to get a business degree.
But you would have a problem, even if you did make it, maybe, that a team that played half the number of games would make it?
There has to be some type of standard. And, I just think it would be, if I was on a committee, it would be hard for me to leave out a 10-1 Texas A&M or a 11-game Florida team, over a team that's played 6 games.
Dabo then went on to throw even a little more shade this morning, saying that watching film on Ohio State is going to be a whole lot easier due to the limited amount of games that they've played.
That'll be a quick study for us. There were only 6, so that'll be a little easier. Typically you're going into these games, you got 13 games to study, so it won't be as daunting of a task there. Like I said, typically you have 13 games. Like, they're going to have to study 11 games. You got to study every play, offense, defense, special teams. It does make it a little easier because there's not as much tape to pour through. You can't make it up. There's only 6 games, so.
I mean, technically, he's not wrong. Well, for Dabo's sake, he better hope that Clemson absolutely rolls over these guys, because if Ohio State comes out and beats Clemson, boy oh boy is he not going to look good at all. I got no problem with Dabo running his mouth. If anything, it's actually a good thing, because I'm sure it'll fire up the Buckeyes more and give us a much better game. But watching Dabo call out Ohio State every week sure is something that's quite entertaining. Speaking of disrespect, let's move on over to the Indiana Hoosiers. After having their best season in decades, number 11 Indiana was selected to play in the Outback Bowl against 4-5 Mississippi State. They weren't selected to play in a New Year's Six Bowl. Instead, Iowa State, who just lost the game and has 3 losses on the season, was selected over them. Fred Glass, the former athletic director for Indiana, who stressed at the top that he wasn't speaking as an affiliate of Indiana, had some things to say about their bowl fate and everything else that happened in regards to Indiana being snubbed yesterday. I'm not AD anymore, nor officially affiliated with IU, so I can tell you what I think, and that is this. Our program, our coach, and our kids got done in by the good old boy Big Ten football power structure. There are influential people who don't want Indiana to be good in football. They're used to coming into our state and poaching our best high school players and counting on us as a W on their schedule. That's why they don't advocate for us. Is there any real doubt that we're the second best team in the conference? Look at the polls, even in the college football playoff. Look at the common opponents. To those who are trying to kill a resurgent Indiana football program, I say it's not going to work. You're just putting more logs on the fire. I love Tom Allen, and I love these kids. Tom Allen, he could have gone off. He could have called out the committee. He could have called them out for leaving out his Indiana team, who has proven to be the second best team in the Big Ten and has proven all year that they're worthy of being a top 10 team in the country.
Do you feel like you guys didn't get maybe the level of respect you think you deserved from, I think primarily, I would say, the playoffs?
I just don't. There'll be a time and a place to address that. I don't think this is the time or the place. Bottom line is we're excited to be going to Tampa. This football team will be ready when we take the field on January 2nd at 12:30 in Tampa, Florida. Period.
I get rewarding teams for making it to their conference championship game, but with Indiana losing 2 fewer games, I just don't get that logic at all. But actually, I think I do. The argument the committee made was that Indiana didn't have victories over top 25 teams. Iowa State, they did. They beat Oklahoma, and they beat Texas. The Hoosiers, though, they actually did beat 3 top 25 teams this season. They beat Penn State when they were ranked in the top 10. They beat Michigan when they were ranked in the top 25. And just a few weeks ago, they beat Wisconsin, who was ranked number 18, on the road with a backup quarterback making his first career start. But those teams didn't finish in the top 25, largely due to what Indiana did to them, dropping them out of the top 25. Also, Indiana might have beaten the top 25 Northwestern team, but the Big Ten decided to alter its eligibility rules and allow the precious Ohio State Buckeyes to play in the conference title game, despite only playing 5 games on the season. Here's what committee chair Gary Barta said when he was asked Sunday about the failure to reward Indiana with a New Year's Six bowl game. We had a long discussion about who had earned their way into the top 10. Iowa State was in that discussion. Indiana was in that discussion. Comparing those two teams, Indiana, it was a historic year. They were 6-1. Their only loss was to Ohio State, but they didn't have the quality wins that Iowa State had. Iowa State had beaten Oklahoma and beaten Texas. When it came down to comparing those two in particular, Iowa State was given the nod. I can make a whole video on the flaws of the playoff committee. This was their worst year since they started, and Gary Barta, well, he's a fraud. He's been an absolute joke this year. Every week whenever he's interviewed on ESPN, he gives a different reason for teams being ranked where they are, given a different reason of logic, saying, oh, we value head-to-head matchups, we value strength of schedule, we value all this. No, Gary Barta, you don't know what you value. You value teams who you think should be deserving, but you don't take into account the eye test and who is actually deserving, a la Indiana being more deserving. As I mentioned, this is the best team Indiana's had in decades. They lost 1 game by 1 score on the road to the 3rd best team in the country. And what's the reward for finishing the season as a borderline top 10 team, a team that's ranked higher than Iowa State? A matchup in the Outback Bowl against a team that is under 500. So what are your thoughts on the topics I talked about today? Do you agree with Dabo constantly saying Ohio State isn't deserving of a playoff spot? Do you think that Indiana got the shaft from the playoff committee? Whatever your thoughts are, drop a comment down below and share with me your opinions. If you haven't done so yet, if you could please take a second and give this video a thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate it. It really helps share the video with more college football fans, and it only takes a second to do. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. I post a lot of great college football content here, so if you don't want to miss another video, this is definitely the place for you. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.
Oh, I'm a pepperoni guy, no doubt. I mean, I'll even go double pepperoni if I get a chance to order that. But, yeah, just pepperoni. Keep it simple. As you guys know, we had Krispy Kreme yesterday and pepperoni pizza today. That's about as good a weekend as it gets.